It's Thursday, June 12th. Let's level up. PPI data came in better than expected for the most part, so CPI and PPI don't show a lot of inflation. I am a little bit worried now with these Israel strikes on Iran because we are seeing oil rally. However, that might just be temporary. In the abundance of caution, I used the opportunity tonight on my ride home to fill up the tank before any price increases could potentially hit. Fed meeting is Wednesday. That is going to be a big thing. I think the Fed will start signaling what they're looking to do. My guess is they're going to cite uncertainty and maybe try to punt to the July meeting. The probability of a cut of the July meeting is 70-30 that they will not go. However, now in September, it's 80-20 that they will go. It's a little surprising, by the way, that the Israeli strikes came. I was warning people about this because of the personnel being pulled out, but there were supposed to be some high-level meetings with the Trump administration and the Iranians in Oman on Sunday, and I guess those are not going to happen now, and if they are, they're going to get pushed way out. As far as markets go, I've been cautious because the VIX has not been able to get and stay below 17.02. The risk on the upside here could take us into the 21s and maybe even close to 25. The 50 MA, which had been resistance on the last pop on 523, was to the 50 MA. That's currently 24.76. I'm curious to see if there's going to be fear about the weekend risk because the Israelis have already signaled that the strikes might not just be one and done, and there'll be counterattacks from Iran and probably more retaliation from the Israelis. They seem to be taking out their nuclear infrastructure and some command and control, so this could go on for a few days. Plus, we have the Fed uncertainty on Wednesdays. It may just be when in doubt, palms out, meaning sell, or maybe just a buyer strike into the Fed, which is on Wednesday. Speaking of oil, we have talked about the potential for a pop to the 71s and 73s. Anchor VWAP is currently 73.31. So bulls in oil need to sustain that. So far, they've gotten up to the 78.6, 75.28. I had talked about using that as a stop, so you should be out of that trade now if you're watching this video. Yeah, maybe they run it up to 80, but my guess is if they can't sustain anchor VWAP, there could be a pullback to the 70.97, which is, of course, the 61.8, meaning the 78.6 failed, so we could come back to the 61.8. But I'm thinking they're going to hold this strong into the weekend, probably because of the potential for counter strikes. And I had said I thought that the oil would likely get the move up and could play oil stocks. Probably want to trim a little bit into that tomorrow, maybe on the opening, use your opening 5 or 15 minute low as a stop. As far as futures go, we came down into the first line of support at 59.4175 to 59.52 half. We overshot it a little to the next line of support at 59.2875. The next level, if we do have a check back to the breakout, is 58.95. Basically, we couldn't hold 6,000. We go to 5,900. That whole $100 table, so maybe this move was going to happen anyway. As far as Qs go, we got to the 21,529.75 to 21,558 half. It overshot to the apples to apples. By the way, the 559.2875 in the Qs would be 21,471, and the equivalent to the 58.95 is the 21,337 half. So that would be the retest of the breakout. On the upside, I think the bulls here will need to get over 59.93 half to 6,008 to arrest the decline, and that area could be some resistance now. The apples to apples in the Qs, bulls will need to get over the 21,848, which now could be some resistance. The decline here is taking back about 6 days worth of trade, so it makes sense that there was a bit of a round trip. As far as the SPY goes, the bulls to arrest the decline, I think, need to get back up over and stay over the 595.54 and hold the 20 MA here at 593.03. We're currently above that in the after hours. If that area fails, the check back to the 78.6 would be 585.10, and you know that is the must hold, or we look for a larger decline. Qs, similar situation. We ran into the resistance I had said to lighten up here at the 536.88 to 540.81, which is, of course, the Fed day high from 12/18 before the prior breakdown, and then the all-time high, which was a bit of a look above and fail, 219. The 20 MA here, which is the must hold on the pullback, is 523.17. If that fails, we could have a retest of the 511.19, which is, of course, the 78.6. I do think that the first touch of the 78.6 is a buy. If it can hold, just GTFO, because then we're looking at 5.9 gap fills. In the Qs, that would be 487.97, and in SPY, that's 564.34. Apple, I've said to hold the fire on the long side until we can clear over at least 204.5 and really 206, which is, of course, the Worldwide Developer Conference Day high. On the downside, we we could trade down to reference lows here into the 193s, maybe the 189.81. I'd probably pull the trigger long if we hit the channel low down at the 182s, though. I'd buy for a move back up into the 200s. Amazon getting a little bit of rollback here, not to be unexpected given the move in the futures. 20 MA area could be a buy the dip here at 207.49. If you want to wait and play a little wait and see with that, that's fine, but that area could be a bit of a reload. I'd probably double up on the position if we got down to the 201.95 though, because I do think that there's going to be a prime day rally. Google, we had talked about booking profits up near the 181.64. We actually got the fills because the pump up was so strong it took out that level even though we didn't achieve it. I'd probably be looking to buy the dip down there near the 20 MA also at 170.52. Noticing a trend here with the 20 MAs. Nvidia, pretty strong close today, but obviously going to get smacked around a little bit with overall market. Bulls there will need to hold 143.44 plus for still higher prices. If not, we're back into that 138.90 to 140 zone. Gold obviously getting a little bit of a run here. Bulls broke the downtrend today, but they are getting up near the channel high at the 114 area. Bulls there need to really clear 316.65 to really get going on the upside for still higher prices. I'm assuming the 316.65 area probably attracts some sellers, and if there is a new high, it might be incremental and we have to be on guard for a look above and fail. Bitcoin, I warned about the look above and fail, and we got it now twice. It is pulling back in the after hours. I think that the must-hold level there is 100,815. If that can't hold, the buy the dip for the reload is 95,705 to 96,591, which is the 61.8 zone. It's also right in between the 50 and 100 MA area. And if that were to be a nibble, the next nibble zone, if it were to keep going, would be 91,455 to 92,403. Let's keep an eye on TLT tomorrow if interest rates are going to start declining. I think that it's a good area to trim into this 50 MA at 87.15 up to 87.42. That area is the 38.2 of the range. If that can clear, the next resistance zone is 88.39, which is the 100 MA up to the 50% fib at 88.69. We had talked about liking this for a long trade up to at least the 90-92 level, longer dated options. Generally speaking, we're obviously going to get a pull down tomorrow on the heat up in the tensions with Israel and Iran. We have to see if oil is going to be a pop and flop. The last time we saw these types of strikes, that was exactly what happened. We saw them move up. It took a few days, but ultimately it came down fairly fast. It's no surprise that the Saudis put up 3 months of additional production a few weeks ago. Remember, we had hinted that this could be signaling attack on Iran. It doesn't surprise me that the Saudis stepped up. They would probably step up even further. I know President Trump and MBS have a pretty good relationship. Keep in mind that there could be some short covering at the open, but there may be a bit of a sell into the close with weekend risk. I am a little bit leery here because of the Fed, and I do think that people might just want to sidestep that weekend risk and play a little wait and see for early next week. We're starting to see summer Thursdays and Fridays, and it's even starting to happen a little bit even into the Wednesdays these days. Does anybody work? I guess they all work remotely now. So rather than taking Fridays off, they're probably taking Thursday and Friday off and doing it remotely from the beach. Like and follow for more.